Hey, my name is Bobby. I'm the founder of Tam to Target, and this is the second video in our series for K-12 outbound prospecting. Today, we're going to be talking about email deliverability, specifically around verifying your emails. Okay, so a little bit of context. If you really want to make sure that your emails are landing in the primary box, besides having really good infrastructure set up, which we'll talk about in the next video, you need to make sure that people you're reaching out to have verified emails. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about seasonality of prospects, then also how to technically verify your emails. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this video using Clay and a couple of different like email verification tools. Okay, so let's start with the obvious. K-12 roles shift constantly. Principals are retiring, tech directors switch districts, curriculum leads move up or out or whatever, right? And we all know this, but it's also there's a seasonality to it, right? So the first lesson I want to provide you guys is, in the past, I've talked to K-12 vendors and they say like, well, in January, we're not sure if people are still there. Well, find out, right? There's ways you can do it and you don't have to do it manually. Because we know like in January, obviously winter turnover has happened and people have left. Same thing August or September. You don't want to use those lead lists that you previously have been using. So what you want to do is you want to set up a custom AI bot in Clay to go and actually check and see if there's any information on the district's website about a person moving up, around, out, things like that. So you can do that using Clay, and I'll show you how to do it. And then the second piece is you want to verify that email again. Even if in your system you've already verified it, you got to double check again. Because if they've retired, then you're going to, hopefully, if the district has actually updated their email system, then you're going to get a different type of response back if the email is no longer valid. Okay, so let's talk about valid emails. And first off, kind of where to get your emails. So a lot of people watching this video, you're probably used to grabbing things out of your CRM, and it's probably syncing with something like Agile or MCH, which are great vendors, but we at Tam to Target prefer using EduLead. So EduLead as a base for pulling out our K-12 prospects, it's awesome. They have great filters. They have district level, school level targeting. Their UI is really clean, allows us to export things out really easily. And they also scrape a lot of website data and have some other features that some of the big box providers just don't really have. Okay, so first step for us is EduLead. And then we bring all that into Clay. And I'm going to show you in a second how to do this. You're going to double verify those emails. The first verification level is with something called Million Verifier. Now, there's a lot of competitors to Million Verifier. We like it because it's a really cost-effective solution and they do a great job. They check for email formatting issues. They check to see if it's okay to send to that person. They basically validate whether or not it's a real email. They're also going to report back if it's a catch-all email. And so a catch-all emails are like sneaky dangerous, like ninja bad emails that you don't want to be sending out to. You can look up a little bit more about what they actually are, but essentially it's like if you send an email to jsmith@district.org and it's a catch-all, it'll probably show that it gets delivered, but there's not actually a Jane Smith at the district. And that can hurt your reputation. So you have to be careful with that. But something like Bounce Ban that we use at Tam to Target, that can verify whether or not a catch-all is safe to send to or not safe. And if you don't verify those catch-alls, your bounce rates can increase by up to like 9%. Okay, so that's enough to tank your inbox placement for weeks, months, or indefinitely. Okay, so you got to be careful with that. So at Tam to Target, if we detect a catch-all domain, we don't send, we flag it, and then we check with Bounce Ban on whether or not it's safe to send. Okay, so quick recap, and then let's dive into Clay so I can actually show you how this works. EduLead for K-12 data, Million Verifier and Bounce Ban. Don't send to catch-alls until Bounce Ban tells you it's okay. And then also we are all aware of seasonality, but you don't have to just guess. You can actually use AI and Claygent within Clay to go ahead and figure out whether that person's still working at the district. So let's hop into Clay real quick and I can show you exactly how we can set up a workflow that'll easily help you verify your emails. All right, let's walk through how to double verify your email lead list so you can make sure that you're not sending any emails out to invalid or catch-all email addresses. So in the K-12 space, our number one data provider that we recommend is EduLead. So you have to start with clean data. It's always better to start with the best data that you can so that you are not sending out emails into the void, right? So you've got people, schools, districts. EduLead's really easy to navigate, right? So all you need to do here is go ahead and add some different rules. You can find people based on their title, of course, and then information about their school district, where it exists. You can even draw a little map on where you're trying to target and it'll find people there, right? It's a great tool. And once you've found the people that you want, you just export them and you can pull them into a CSV. Now, I will say EduLead already has validated email addresses, but it's always best just to trust but verify. So we still double verify all of our leads regardless of source with Million Verifier and Bounce Ban. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that here in Clay. If you're not familiar with Clay, I definitely recommend you do a little bit of a crash course on how to navigate through the platform. I'm going to move moderate speed here, so you should have some familiarity with how to use Clay in order to really take advantage of this. But hopefully, for the most of you guys, you'll be able to understand kind of what I'm doing here. So what I've done is I've imported into a Clay workbook that CSV that I exported from EduLead, right? So I've got my list here. Now all I want to do is I just want to know, hey, are these email addresses valid? And again, there's two validations. There's the Million Verifier that's just going to check if it's an okay email or a catch-all or invalid. And then if it is a catch-all, let's use Bounce Ban to check whether or not it's actually okay for us to send an email there. So let's look at Million Verifier first. To set up Million Verifier in Clay, you're going to use the HTTP API enrichment. So let's look at it here. When you go to add HTTP API, it's really easy. You go in, and the method for this is actually going to be a get method. And then what you're going to do is just do the endpoint right here. I put 3 X's in for my API key, but you guys will put in your own API key here, and then you hit the and symbol, and then email equals, and you're going to put the email address right here. Now remember, with Clay, you just hit /, and then you find the row that you want to, or the column rather, that you're referencing. So you want to reference the email, okay? Let's take a look now at what happens as a result. And where did I learn this? First off, this is all in the Million Verifier documentation. It's really easy to use, right? Okay, so once you run that, you're going to get either okay, catch-all, unknown, or invalid. What I like to do is, hey, if it's unknown or catch-all, I'm going to run Bounce Ban against that and see what I get. Okay, so here's my second one, which is Bounce Ban. So let's see what I did here for this HTTP API call. Bounce Ban uses the get method for the HTTP call. There's the endpoint. It's the same for everybody. I use the mode called deep verify, and then the email here. So this is the query string. You just type it in just like this. Add your API key down here in the headers. Just use the word authorization, and it'll work. What you want to do is add some conditional formatting. Basically, what this says right here is only run this column if it's a catch-all, unknown, or error that comes up from Million Verifier. That way we're not wasting Bounce Ban credits, okay? You can always use the AI to type that in, and it'll automatically make this little formula here for you. When you run that, you're going to get some results here that show you whether or not the email is deliverable or undeliverable. As you can see, most of the catch-alls that are verified from EduLead are deliverable, but there are a couple that are not. So if this is undeliverable, I don't want to send an email to it. And so what you can now do is you can filter this list down by only those emails that are marked as deliverable or that are marked as okay for Million Verifier. And in doing that, you're going to get a lead list that you can be 99% sure is going to be accurate, valid email addresses. Okay, so that's how you take an initial lead list, whether it's from EduLead, Agile, MCH, whatever, and you take it and you just double verify to make sure that those emails are going to be valid. I hope you found this workflow really helpful to you. If you need some more help building this out, just put a comment in. You can find me on LinkedIn as well and just DM me. I'm happy to set some time aside to kind of walk through this with you and help you guys out. In the next video, we're going to go deep in on email deliverability. I'm going to show you exactly what our infrastructure looks like at TAM to Target and give you some recommendations on how you can make sure that you're actually landing in the inbox based on your technical infrastructure setup. Okay, so if this helped you out, just leave a comment. Find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help you guys more. Thanks so much for watching.